People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. You don't need no ticket, you're just a thing, Lord. People get ready for the train to Jordan. It's picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and boredom. There's hope for all among those that love the most. So people get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. Oh. Love is a verb, it ain't a thing. It's not a something you own, it's not a something you scream. When you show me the love, I don't need your words. Love ain't a thing, love is a verb. I said love ain't a thing, love is a verb. Love ain't a crush, it ain't no excuse. No, you can't get through love on just a pile of IOUs. Love ain't a drug, despite what you heard. Love ain't a thing, love is a verb. Love ain't a thing, love is a verb. So you gotta show me, show me, show me, show me that love is a verb. So you gotta show me, show me. You gotta show me. Love is a verb. Love ain't a thing, 'cause love is a verb. Well, hey, Glenn.
Hey.
I'm going to toss it to you now to talk to us a bit about the run for another.
Okay. Great. Well, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to remind you about the run that's coming up next Saturday, so almost or a week. It's called Run for Another, and we're an organization called One for Another International, and every year we have a run to raise money for our organization, which works in Uganda. We operate on kids with surgical problems, mostly to do with the bones, so club feet, bone infections, broken bones, but also other birth defects. And so this year, obviously, things have changed quite a bit for everyone, certainly charities included. So we're going to have a virtual run. Basically means just run from your house. The advantage we have this year is that we know you're not busy. So there's a good chance that you'll want to participate. Obviously, it's not the same as being all together up in Bechtel Park. Everyone's getting a T-shirt, but we still want to see what we can do to raise funds for our mission. And right now in Uganda, there aren't a lot of cases of COVID, but the country has been shut down for at least 3 weeks, almost a month. And it means that our families, all of the kids that we've got in treatment and rehabilitation are at home now, but their families don't have access to food. It's a serious problem in developing countries. When a government shuts down transportation like they have in Uganda, where you can't travel anywhere by any vehicle, otherwise you get either put in jail or beaten by the police. So our families are going hungry. So this year, all of the funds we raise with the run is going towards a food aid delivery program. And we've started that off, and we're delivering bags of maize flour. So that's to make something called posho, and these deliveries make a huge difference in the life of the families that we serve. In some cases, families are extremely desperate. So if you participate this year, that's what your funds will be going towards, and you can join us by coming to our race roster site. and just clicking on the link to register. It's free. And then if you have anyone that would like to sponsor you or pledge you, donate, they can find you on the race roster site. So you can probably see that in the description below. If you want to just see who we are as an organization, again, you can find us at our website, One for Another International. That's o4a.ca. And yeah, thanks to Nexus. This is our 6th year with the run, so Nexus has always been a great supporter. And we really appreciate so many of you being on board with us. And thanks for the chance this morning to give a little plug for what we do. And we hope everyone's doing well wherever you are.
Thanks, Glenn. I appreciate that. And One for Another, such a great organization. I've been training for this run, Glenn. I'm going to do 5K next Saturday with my 8-year-old daughter, Zoe, who's my pace setter. So,
Brad, you've been training now for 8 years. I don't doubt that you, in your mind, you believe you're training.
Glenn, leave it to you to take a jab at me. But I'm running a cool 45-minute 5K. I mean, it's just lightning speed, you know. So anyway,
well, if you do it, Brad, take
yeah,
a picture yourself, send it in, so we do have proof, right? We want to know that people are actually doing it.
I've even got some tight leggings I'll be wearing for the event. So
excellent.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Glenn. I really appreciate you popping by. And again, your website is oneforanother.ca, but there's a link in the description below where you can sign up and sponsor or get signed up to run. So I would encourage you to do that now. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Okay.
I think I can take these off now. No, we're back on. There we go. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Dave, for putting together that slideshow. And it was great. Oh, man, I miss so many of you now. So thank you for putting that together, Dave. And yeah, just
they were all on Facebook.
Makes
you can't hear me.
Really miss seeing everybody. So that was a great reminder. We're going to try something here. I want to put on a Seinfeld clip, and I know sometimes that's a little bit difficult when with the streaming, but it's so worth it. It sets up what I want to talk about. So Seinfeld explains everything, really. So here's a clip for you.
Hello? Oh, hi. What's happening? What? Oh, sure. Yeah, okay. Then I'll see you then. Yeah, okay. Bye.
Who's that?
That was Keith.
What's going on?
He wants me to help him move.
Help him move? Move what?
You know, furniture.
So, what did you say?
I said yes, but I don't feel right about it. I mean, I hardly know the guy. That's a big step in a male relationship. The biggest. That's like going all the way.
And you feel you're not really ready for...
Well, we went out one time. Don't you think that's coming on a little too strong? Hey. What's going on? Keith Hernandez just asked me to help him move. What? Well, you hardly know the guy. What a nerve.
You see? Wasn't I right about this guy? Didn't I tell you? Oh, you're not going to do it, are you?
I said yes.
You said yes! Don't you have any pride or self-respect? I mean, how can you prostitute yourself like this?
I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to start driving him to the airport?
I'm not driving him to the airport. Oh, boy. Hey, Kramer, do me a favor, would you?
What?
Don't mention it to anybody.
I wish you never mentioned it to me.
Oh my. Perfect clip. You know, moving, my goodness. Nothing can test the grit and mettle of a friendship more than the task of moving a person or family from one dwelling to another. And moving is, of course, a highly annoying and inconvenient task. So the invite list to any moving party we put together is often comprised of family who's stuck with us and close friends who we can afford to annoy and inconvenience on occasion. But everything to me about moving is unpleasant and burdensome. The physicality of it, the fact that it's always a Saturday, eats up your Saturday, wondering why people are making me move their encyclopedias. I know they'll never read them, let alone unpack them. I mean, the whole process is exhausting. And I've been thinking about this. It's in my mind, it's incumbent upon the one who is moving to abide by some social norms and graces, I think, so as to maintain a level of order and social cohesion. Now, my guidelines I'm about to tell you are far from extensive, but I tend to believe there are three primary rules one should follow when moving and enlisting the help of others. Number one, the one moving should be present and working during the move. Number two, your belongings should be packed and in good order when moving help arrives. And number three, you, the one moving, should ensure all necessary measures have been taken to ensure the move is conducted in the most efficient way possible. Now, those are, of course, a list of basic etiquettes one should comply with during the socially fragile process of moving. But shockingly to me, these basic etiquettes seem to be like something of a secret to a lot of people. I mean, consider the first and what seems to me to be the most obvious rule of moving. One, you, the one moving, should be present and working during the move. It was a brisk Saturday morning in November, and I had been enlisted to help my younger brother and his girlfriend move from my parents' house, they were living in the basement, into their new home, an exciting time for them. And my brother has, of course, helped me with several moves, so I was indebted to him. I was happy to help. So move time was set for 9 a.m. on this Saturday. Punctually, I showed up at 8:50 a.m. I wanted to enjoy a coffee, maybe a light snack before strenuous labor of moving his furniture and belongings. Now, coffee, I should say, is assumedly provided by the one moving. It's another basic etiquette, but anyway, so often the primary rules are ignored. I consider coffee a luxury, but I show up and I arrive to find no coffee. But even more baffling, I arrive to find my brother missing altogether. Now, the moving truck is there. His father-in-law picked that up. The rest of the family is there. In fact, some friends have gathered as well, but my brother is absent. Now, 9 a.m. passes and things are starting to get a little awkward and strange. We're thinking, should we begin the move without him? I mean, maybe he's out getting coffee. So we're sort of thinking, okay, let's give him some time. Eventually, a flurry of calls are made without answer. No one can figure out what's happening. Maybe we had the wrong date. Check emails. No, it's confirmed. This is the right day. So what now? Well, about 9:15, we finally just begin the arduous task of moving, mystified, concerned by my brother's absence. And so we put in about a good hour of work, wondering, where is he? Finally, after 10 a.m., we receive from a call from my brother who's in a panic. It turns out he's in Toronto, which is a good hour away, and has just woken up because he spent the night there after a rather raucous night of partying. Now, he apologizes, of course, but he also points out that given his current state, it's probably not wise for him to drive for a few hours. Of course, he's terribly sorry, but if we don't mind doing the move for him, he'd be forever grateful. Like, what? I simply had no words. Who does that? My head could not contain the level of confusion and anger I was experiencing in the moment. Years later, in hindsight, I must confess, I kind of admire the boldness, the sheer audacity of such a play. I mean, not showing up to your own moving day while expecting others to do the task for you. It's absolute madness, but it might also be brilliant. I don't know. What I do feel fairly confident of is that in the history of moves, this has never been attempted. Not only not attempted, perhaps not even considered. And much to my dismay, the scheme succeeded. We moved my brother's belonging from one house to another without him present while he rested from a night of partying. I suppose you might call that generous and kind on our part, but I refuse to cloak our work in such charitable terms. It was lunacy. It's a crime of this nature should not be forgiven anytime soon. Moving people is a laborious task with little thanks, and in this case, my friendship with my brother probably only survived because he is my brother, and because in hindsight, I can only really laugh at the sheer gall of attempting this. But even now, I can't shake what he did that day. I wasn't sure, I'm still not sure how he can live with the shame of allowing family and friends to do his move for him while absent. And this sense was very present for me in my head when a year later, after this incident, it came time for Kristen and I to move into the first home we owned together. And I've participated in so many countless reckless moves. I couldn't stand the thought of inconveniencing friends and family. And this move we were making was particularly fragile because the dates were off. We had to move out of our apartment at the end of May, but we didn't get possession of our house until the beginning of July. So we would have to move all of our belongings out into our in-laws' garage. A month later, from the garage into the new place. 2 moves in a month. And plagued by my own family shame and disgrace, I concluded I was going to call no one for help. This was our decision. It was our move. We should take the brunt of the burden. 3 days out from the move, though, everything was packed, save for, day-to-day essentials, but those items would be packed the night before. 3 days before the move, Kristen asked me who I had enlisted to help with the move, and I said, no one. I said, we can do this ourselves. Now, Kristen didn't see, of course, the wisdom of my ways, even though she was privy to the burden of family shame that I was carrying. Even still, she implored me, you've got to find help. But I was confident we didn't need anyone. This was a task that I could take on alone. I mean, sure, there were mattresses and couches and awkward appliances, but I got the dolly. I paid a little extra to have the dolly with the moving truck, and so I thought that was all that I would need. And asking for help, I thought, would only inconvenience others. And I thought, I'm no longer going to have the Watson name associated with inconveniencing others. So we had this. Of course, moving day, I'm up early, begin the long task of packing the truck, but it's barely an hour in and I'm mired in the foolishness of my no-need attitude. Our sofa at the time, one of those pull-out sofa bed things, it was a beast. It weighed a ton. And while I think I understand basic geometry, I'm relatively certain the sofa somehow got into our apartment. But despite my best efforts, my angle calculations, I couldn't get this thing out of the apartment. It wouldn't budge. I can't seem to get it through the narrow door, and the rest of the furniture is, of course, stuck behind it. I tried everything, but I can't move it. The two of us can't move it. And so I'm stuck. I need help. I hate needing help. And so reluctantly, Kristen and I make some calls. Friends and family show up. Me now having inconvenienced them further by not even giving them any notice of the moving day, but they come anyway. The task is eventually completed, but the shame of the family name lingers and carries on. I hate being needy. I think we all do to some extent. To be human is to be needy. And so often to me that feels shameful. And it makes to me how needy Jesus was particularly shocking. I mean, as humans, we hate being in need, but if you look carefully enough at the Gospels, it's impossible to miss this. Jesus was needy, just like the rest of us. And so often, I think when we come to the Gospels or preach Jesus, he can feel just so polished, right? This superhuman God. But I think to think of Jesus that way is to miss his full humanity and how that speaks so powerfully to our own humanity. I mean, consider this passage from Hebrews about Jesus. Hebrews 2, it says, since the children have flesh and blood, he too shared in their humanity so that by his death he may break the power of him who holds the power of death, that is, the devil, and free those who all their lives were held in slavery by their fear of death. For this reason, he had to be made like them, fully human in every way, in order that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in service to God. Fully human in every way. Fully human. And if that's so, if Jesus is sort of the ultimate, fullest, most authentic human, then Jesus was just as needy as you and I. You know, so often when we imagine Jesus, I think we're tempted to frame Jesus as perfect and self-contained with no needs, but that's not what I see in the Gospels. Divine, yes, but I see so many vulnerabilities and needs. And I think this portrait of Jesus often gets lost. And I think this is because we're so attracted to a kind of God and Jesus who seems self-sufficient and needs nothing. Why is that? Well, if you know Scripture, one of the things we learn over and over and over again in Scripture is this: humans love to create God in their own image and then worship that God. Humans have this propensity to craft God in a way so that we can aspire to be like the God we have made. And culturally, we're obsessed with the God of self-sufficiency, a God who is autonomous, independent, needs nothing. I mean, that was me on moving day, right? Like I was worshiping that God. I was aspiring to the God of self-reliance. Of course, I cloaked my desire to move on my own under the guise of not wanting to inconvenience anyone. But the reality is, beneath that, I think I'm in love with the idea that I don't need help. I don't need anyone. Except, of course, when you do. We don't want a God that's needy because that might mean we have to face up to our own neediness as well. In our culture, success is to need nothing. To never need help. Your job, my job in culture is to be fine, autonomous, self-sufficient. To be anything less, to need the help of others is to be seen as a failure, to be a drag on society, a loser. And we're perpetually ashamed and embarrassed by our own needs and vulnerabilities. Because I think in our culture, one of the most shameful things is to have to ask for help. We're ashamed to admit that we need it, that we need others. And so we don't really want a God who loves and helps others from a position of neediness and vulnerability, because that might mean we have to face up to our own as well. And this idea has been really rattling me these days, these past few weeks, for some obvious reasons, I suppose, like how well aware we all are right now about how much we need certain parts of society to function, right? Like how we rely and depend on healthcare, hospitals, grocery stores, people delivering goods, keeping the food supply chain open. And so in one sense, now more than ever, we're incredibly aware of our collective needs and interdependence. But this idea is rattling me in some less obvious ways. Because I think the God of self-sufficiency doesn't die easily. And despite knowing how much we all need each other in this, what I find myself still wanting more than anything in these strange and uncertain times is to project strength. I mean, sure, I can sort of get in my head. I understand I need farmers and doctors and truck drivers, but knowing that, I still want to seem self-reliant, project myself as not needy. Sort of like, I'm fine. How are you? No, I don't need anything. How can I help you? And for me, it's like for the Nexus community, for my family, for friends, even for my own mental health, I want to be fine. I want to appear fine. I don't need anything. I want to be strong in all of this. Perhaps I'm not alone. But in recognizing this tendency within myself and in recognizing that Jesus reveals to us a God who loves others from a position of neediness and vulnerability, I found myself really struck by a certain story of Jesus this week. It just stopped me in my tracks. And to be honest, the story is about something much bigger than the part I'm going to focus on and the part that caught my attention. But I'm reading through this story this week, and suddenly 5 words from it just slammed into me. And I got to be honest, I read this on one of those rainy days, cold days this week. So I get looking outside now, it's absolutely beautiful. It might not fully resonate as much seeing as things feel phenomenal with the sun shining today. But I read this on one of these cold, rainy days this week, and it just stopped me. It's the story of Jesus ministering to a Samaritan woman by a well. And of course, as the story unfolds, it turns into this beautiful moment where Jesus speaks incredible grace and life into a woman who's known a troubled past. But this week, I didn't even really get to the end of the story. That isn't what caught my attention. Just 5 words jumped out at me because they seem to capture how I, at least not on super sunny days, really feel right now. Perhaps many of us feel this way. It was these 5 words. Here's the story. John 4. Jesus had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I'm a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? You have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep." Oh. Jesus, tired as he was. I mean, yeah, I don't know about you, but I get that. I mean, isn't that in many ways how you feel these days? It is for me. I mean, we are into what, week 7 or something of this. Who can even keep track of time right now? I do know this is the 8th Sunday we've done the teaching online. It feels like we're so deep into this, and throughout it all, I find myself wanting, of course, to portray strength, to not come across as needy, but the reality is I feel more like Jesus here. Jesus, tired as he was. Brad, tired as he was. You, tired as you are. I mean, whatever else happens in this story, that setting just hits home to me. Jesus is exhausted after a long travel. And so he pauses to rest. His friends go to get some food. He's too exhausted to join them. He seats himself by this well. It's about noon. You can picture it just hot, scorching out. And he's just so weary. He's parched and thirsty. And he's just staring at this well with no way to relieve his thirst. I mean, the water is there. It feels right there, but it's beyond his reach. He's got nothing to draw from. That I feel. I mean, certain days, this thing just feels exhausting. I don't know about you. I was describing to someone, my weeks often feel like riding waves, right? There's some good days, some moments where I'm like, feel great. And then there are other moments where I'm just tired as I am. It's like I just need some kind of water in all of this, but I don't have anything to draw from. It just feels so out of reach. And again, I don't know about you, how you're feeling, but these days it feels like a neediness that I find hard to even really describe. I mean, what do you even ask for? But it's there. This thirst from being too long in this uncertain time, tired as we are. I mean, are you with me? Do you sense what I'm talking about here? But sitting there in need and thirst, the woman comes along and Jesus knows, of course, the context of the story is Jesus knows Jews like him are not supposed to talk to Samaritan, these kind of people, let alone ask them for a favor. It's probably best for Jesus just to remain quiet. I mean, suck it up. He'll be fine. It's just thirst. It's just thirst. And sure, his friends will be back soon. He doesn't need help. Just remain quiet, Jesus. But no, he makes the ask. Tired as he was, excuse me, woman, could I please have a drink? And I know people are going to say the story, it's about so much more than this. And I get that. But where it goes, this story starts with a question and an expression of need. Can you help me? And I hate asking that question. Can you help me? I hate asking for help. I hate being in need. It feels shameful. For about a year now, my younger brother, the one who pulled the no-show on his move, he's been hosting a regular poker night. And I've been playing with him for about a year, mostly out of spite and looking to take his money for that thing he did to me years ago. But when this whole COVID thing went down, we had to move our regular poker nights online. So we do a little Zoom or Google Hangout with one another, this group of friends that we have. We play online and we can talk to each other that way. But one of the really interesting things to me about poker online, which I'm in no way advocating for, but is when you play and you go in, you got $5 on the table. If you lose that, let's say you got pocket aces, somebody's got trip kings, you lose all your money, your $5 you put in. Online, what these poker sites will do is they put beside you a big scarlet badge. In this big scarlet badge, it's like the scarlet letter that reminds the whole table and you that you failed. You lost. You're a loser. And of course, within the realm of friends, it becomes a great source of mockery. Now, I'm not personally familiar with having that badge of shame on me, but I know many others who are. And it's cause for great mockery. Look at you. Thought you could play. Now you're out. You're a loser. And it's this scarlet letter. If any of you remember the movie, the scarlet letter you got to wear when you've been shamed. And culturally, I think we have a scarlet letter as well. The scarlet letter N, needy. Neediness is a scarlet letter in our culture. To be needy is to be shamed. Look at you all needy. Shame on you. Don't you realize culturally we worship the God of self-reliance, the God who needs nothing, the God who is self-sufficient. Come on, get your stuff together. You're being a burden on everyone. Success is to need nothing. And so, of course, we're encouraged to paste on the happy face, project strength, but be the one, we're told, who gives help but never needs it. But the Gospels reveal to us a different sort of God in Jesus. Jesus is the fullest expression we have of God. And what we find in Jesus is a God who helps others from a position of need and vulnerability. I mean, the whole story of the woman at the well is this: Jesus expressing need, asking for help. And in that, an economy is opened up, an economy of exchange. Jesus receives water, and the woman receives new life in the grace of being known and seen. But it starts with Jesus, tired as he was, needing water with nothing to draw from, and then a request for help. I mean, when you think of Jesus' whole life, it was like a cry for help. Jesus arrives to be the bread of life. He comes to feed the multitudes, but he also needs others to give him supper. Jesus arrives to rescue the poor, but there's this passage in the Gospel of Luke where we read that there's this group of women who are covering Jesus' costs for him. Jesus arrives to make this world a new place, a new home for us, but he has no physical home of his own. He needs others to take him in. Jesus is born like every other baby is born. Before he can get busy saving the world, he first needs someone to care for his needs and vulnerabilities. And even at the end, Jesus comes to carry the cross for the world, but when it comes time for him to actually physically carry his cross, he doesn't have the strength. Someone else has to carry it for him. And when we look at Jesus' life and the path it calls us to travel, it is simply Jesus loving out of need. Jesus comes to redeem and save and love the world, and he arrives in incredible neediness. Here I am to love you, now take care of me. Here I am to bless the world, now change my diaper. Here I am to give food to the hungry. By the way, can I eat at your place tonight? And I remain convinced, of course, that the Jesus path is incredibly compelling, the most compelling path there is. And yet, I think what we so often miss about this path is that it's one of neediness. The way of Jesus' love is to help and care for others, not from a position of power or strength, but from a position of need and vulnerability. And the path of Jesus asks us to own that. Embrace your neediness. And yet we shame it. And the shaming of our own neediness is killing us, because I think what it does is it shuts down the economy of love that Jesus shows us. When neediness is shamed, we can't share and respond to the needs of others, and they can't respond to our needs. The theologian Arthur McGill, he says that people of faith need to develop what he calls communities of neediness. Communities of neediness where love flows to and from each other. But when we can't do that, it shuts down when everyone is neurotically shamed into hiding their needs from others. And I mean, let's be honest, we all would rather play the hero, right? Like, we all want to be the helper, the one who serves, the self-sufficient one. We don't ever want to be the one needing help or the one who's being served. To stand in the location of being needy is very, very uncomfortable. There's a reason, again, for that. We worship the God of self-sufficiency. Those people are needy. We'll help them, but me, us, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm good. I don't need anything. How can I help you? We deny our own need, our weakness and vulnerability. In doing so, there's no economy of love, no reciprocity. Oh my goodness. There's no relationship, no giving and sharing back and forth. And I suppose my question to us in this time and place is, can we really afford to keep playing that game? Because I'm inclined to think that right now, all of us feel a bit like Jesus, tired as we are. Needing water, no idea how to get it. I think we all feel a bit that way right now. Maybe hoping someone will come by, offer us a little refreshment. But to get there, especially now, I think all of us might need a little help in being more honest about our needs. Be it with our families, ourselves, this community, because when nobody's in need, no one can help. And we have to find a way around that. So Let me ask you this morning, what do you need? What do you need right now? And for some, no doubt, maybe there's some real tangible needs in our community. Let us know. For others, maybe it's a bit like me. You don't even quite know how to express what we need in all of this. Even still, we sense it, tired as we are. I was struck by this prayer this week that Ruthie sent me from Nadia Boltz-Weber. And it sort of summed up a lot of what I've been feeling and thinking. Let me just give you the first part of her prayer here. It says, Holy God, hear my intercessions for those who are giving birth alone, for those who are grieving without their people, for the beleaguered parents who ran out of creative ideas 2 weeks ago, for those who don't know where this week's grocery money will come from, for everyone who has watched the date of their wedding or their graduation or their birthday or their dissertation defense or their long hoped for vacation or their family reunion or the non-essential medical procedure they hoped would change their life come and go, for the exhausted and the despairing, I ask that your comfort, your presence, and your peace be felt. And if that's not possible, could you just nudge the right person to reach out and call them? Just that, Lord. Just that. I love that prayer when I read it this week, because there's so much in there that sort of speaks to where I'm at personally, maybe where you're at too. And a lot of times we sense this neediness but don't know how to express it. But yeah, I'm the beleaguered parent who ran out of creative ideas not 2 weeks ago, like 4 weeks ago. I've built the teepees, I've done the bike riding, the crafts. It's like, oh. And then someone was like, I don't even think we'll be going back to school in the fall. And I just, considering turning my shed into my office, move all the junk out, work from there. Or even little things like Nadia picks up on people's long hoped for vacation. And I think we feel guilty about, sort of mourning that, but looking at this summer and going, normally summer, this time of rest and rejuvenation and thinking, I'm not sure what that's going to mean. All of these things piling up for us, exhaustion, despair, disappointment, uncertainty, tired as we are. And I love this last part, though, about asking God to nudge the right person to reach out. She picks up on. It's so powerful. I've had a few people do that to me, just simple emails. How you doing? But it's life-giving. It's a little taste of water when we're feeling parched. And what I love about this story of Jesus is his neediness is on full display. He approaches this woman from a posture of need, and in that changes the woman's life with grace and vitality, the gift of seeing, the gift of knowing. There's something special to me about that, because we can still help others from a posture of need. Being needy doesn't mean we can't help. I think it just means owning where we are. I think we can be thirsty and still offer water. That's what that's why it stuck with me this week. I think it encompasses how many of us are feeling. It captures that. Yeah, it'd be great if someone reached out, offered me a little water, but it coaches us at the same time to consider, hey, wait, maybe I can be the one to reach out as well. Maybe I'm the one being called, being nudged to touch base with someone. And the risk, of course, here is, what if you share your needs and no one can help? That feels especially vulnerable. What if we express our needs and no one can meet it? What if you need a job right now? That's not an easily met need. Not sure how this community can help with that. I don't know. But again, where the story really hits me is after Jesus expresses his own need, he gives the woman an incredible gift, the gift of truly seeing and knowing her and loving her in spite of that. She's, of course, in and out of troubled relationships, and Jesus simply recognizes that, sees that, loves her. It begins with the simple gift of being seen and known. And so, yeah, I think there's a risk on a morning like this in asking us as a community to maybe be more transparent with our needs, because maybe they can't be met. But perhaps the real need underneath our needs is simply the desire to be seen and known. And that we can offer. And so let me encourage you this morning. It's okay to feel tired in all of this. It's okay to be disappointed and anxious and exhausted. But more than just being okay, it's okay to let others know. We don't have to be self-sufficient. We don't have to always be strong. It's okay to own our weaknesses and needs. And when we allow others into that, the economy of love is opened up. We're free to receive, to be seen, to be known. And in that, it empowers us to help as well. I'm going to ask Melissa to come and take over our live stream here. Melissa's been doing an absolutely fabulous job with Nexus, what we're calling CareMongering, posts on our Nexus updates and events page, and wanted to bring Melissa in the end to just make us aware of some places within our community where we can make our needs known, where we can find places to help others in all of this. And my hope is that we can increasingly be a community where we're sharing each other's burdens. And I hope that we can really sort of dig into that and start to be a bit more transparent. And for those of us who maybe we do feel fine, especially on a day like today, maybe we're being nudged to reach out to someone. Who is it in the community that could use just a little water right now? So I'm going to bring Melissa in and turn it over to you. Hello, Melissa. Thanks for joining us. And there you go.
Thanks, Brad. That message really does resonate with the work that we're trying to do with the caremongering stuff, for sure. It also reminds me of something I was told almost 20 years ago that has always stuck with me on this issue. Someone I was volunteering with said that when we don't allow others to help us, we're denying them the opportunity to give. And I think we can all relate to that good feeling that comes from knowing you've helped someone. We should also make space in our lives for others to be able to experience that as well. I also find it interesting that we sometimes categorize people into needy or not, when in fact we all have areas of need and we all have areas where we can help others. I've noticed this even more lately with our caremongering posts. People have connected with me in a variety of ways, and we have some folks who might be doing fine financially, but are feeling very isolated and cut off from the important people in their lives. And we have folks who are facing financial challenges, but have more time on their hands to write encouraging notes or to others or do deliveries and that kind of thing. So we try to reflect that in our caremongering posts, balancing both resources that are available and also ways that people can help. The Nexus updates page, which, by the way, is separate from the Nexus main page, and you do have to join it to see the post. It's a great place to get ideas about both resources and ways to help. However, you can also reach out to me or any Nexus staff directly if you have a specific area of need or something to offer. And now I'll send things over to Murray, who will close us out with a prayer. Thanks.
Morning. I have two prayers for us this morning. The first one is from Howard Thurman called Open Unto Me. Let's pray. Lord, Lord, open unto me. Open unto me light for my darkness. Open unto me courage for my fear. Open unto me hope for my despair. Open unto me peace for my turmoil. Open unto me joy for my sorrow. Open unto me strength for my weakness. Open unto me wisdom for my confusion. Open unto me forgiveness for my sins. Open unto me tenderness for my toughness. Open unto me love for my hates. Open unto me acceptance for my neediness. Open unto me thyself for myself. Lord, Lord, open unto me. And the second prayer is by Thomas Merton. My Lord God, I have no idea where I'm going. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end. nor do I really know myself. And the fact that I think I am following you does not mean that I'm actually doing so. But I believe that the desire to please you does in fact please you. And I hope I have that desire in all that I am doing. I hope that I will never do anything apart from that desire. And I know that if I do this, you will lead me by the right road, though I may know nothing about it. Therefore, I will trust you always, though I may seem to be lost and in the shadow of death. I will not fear, for you are ever with me, and you will never leave me to face my perils alone. And we pray this knowing you are hearing us better than we are speaking. We offer these in the holy name of God. Amen. Stay in peace.